I'm Melanie, and I was born into what you'd call a picture-perfect family. Mom and Dad were crazy about each other, and the three of us were thick as thieves. We'd spend our weekends hiking in the woods, lazing around in the park, or catching the latest blockbuster at the cinema. After graduation, my parents, bless their hearts, forked out the cash for my college education. I knew exactly what I wanted to do with my life. I was going to be a plastic surgeon. Yeah. I know what you're thinking. Why would a nice girl like you want to mess around with people's faces? Well, let me tell you, it's not all boob jobs and nose jobs. There's reconstructive surgery too, helping burn victims and people born with facial deformities. That's the stuff that really gets me going. Finally, after what felt like a lifetime of studying, I graduated. I landed a job at this fancy private clinic, and suddenly I was working my ass off in a whole new way. The money started rolling in, and before I knew it, I was driving my very own car. Nothing too flashy, mind you, but it was mine. Then came the apartment. I felt like I'd finally made it, you know? Life was good. I was killing it at work, I had my own place, and my parents seemed as happy as ever. Or so I thought. It was during one of my visits home for the holidays that I started to notice something was off. Mom and Dad, they weren't acting like their usual lovey-dovey selves. In fact, they were barely speaking to each other. I couldn't shake the feeling that something was seriously wrong, so I cornered Mom in the kitchen one day while Dad was out. "Mom," I said, trying to keep my voice casual, "what's going on with you and Dad? You guys seem, I don't know, different." She tried to brush it off at first. "Oh, honey," she said, "not meeting my eyes, people change. Sometimes they just fall out of love." But I wasn't buying it. I pressed her, and finally she cracked. "Your father," she said, her voice barely above a whisper, "he got a promotion at work. Comes with a personal secretary. Young, pretty thing." My stomach dropped. "Mom, are you saying?" She nodded, tears in her eyes. "He's been staying late at the office. Too late. I think she's his mistress." I felt like I'd been punched in the gut. My dad, the man I'd looked up to my whole life, cheating on my mom. It didn't seem possible. But as I looked at my mother's face, lined with worry and hurt, I knew it was true. I wanted to confront him, to yell and scream and demand answers. But Mom, she put her hand on my arm and shook her head. "Don't, Melanie," she said softly. "I'm planning to divorce him. I've already talked to a lawyer. I don't want you getting in the middle of this. I don't want you to have to choose sides." I gotta say, I was damn grateful to my mom for handling the whole mess the way she did. I mean, I loved my dad despite everything. The thought of choosing between them made me feel sick to my stomach. So when Mom told me to stay out of it, it was like a weight lifted off my shoulders. The divorce was messy, as these things usually are. Mom demanded half of everything and extra cash for Dad's little indiscretion. Can't say I blame her. Dad coughed up everything she asked for without much of a fight. Guess he felt guilty. Or maybe he just wanted out. It wasn't long before Dad tied the knot with his secretary. Christ, she was young enough to be his daughter, only a few years older than me. Talk about a cliché, right? I couldn't bring myself to play happy families with them. Every time I saw her, all I could think about was how she'd helped destroy my parents' marriage, so I kept my distance, kept things civil but cold. Just when I thought things couldn't get any more complicated, life threw me a curveball. This big shot clinic in another city offered me a job. 2 years working under some hotshot surgeon who'd had his hands on half of Hollywood's faces. The money was insane, and the experience? Priceless. I called Mom as soon as I got the offer. "Mom, you're not gonna believe this," I said, barely containing my excitement. "I got a job offer. It's in another city, working with this famous surgeon. It's a 2-year contract, and the pay is amazing." "Oh, Melanie," she squealed like a teenager. "That's wonderful news. I'm so proud of you, honey." Hearing the joy in her voice made me realize how long it had been since I'd heard her truly happy. It felt good. But then came the awkward part. Dad found out I was leaving town, and he came to me with a request that made my head spin. "Melanie, honey," he said, looking more sheepish than I'd ever seen him. "I hate to ask this, but Well, things at work aren't great right now. Money's tight. I was wondering if maybe, well, since you're going to be gone for 2 years, if Sarah and I could stay in your apartment and maybe use your car. I nearly choked on my coffee. You want to what? I know it's a lot to ask, he said quickly, but it would help us out so much. We could save on rent and with the car. Please, Mel, I wouldn't ask if it wasn't important. I sighed, running a hand through my hair. I need to think about it, and I need to talk to Mom. Calling Mom about this was one of the hardest things I've ever done. I half expected her to explode, to tell me I was betraying her if I even considered it. But she surprised me. Melanie, she said, her voice calm, you're a grown woman. This is your decision to make. I won't be offended, whatever you choose. I sat there for a long time after hanging up, turning the situation over in my mind. Part of me wanted to tell Dad to take a hike. But another part, well, he was still my dad, wasn't he? In the end, I decided to let them stay. I mean, the apartment would just be sitting empty anyway, right? And the car, well, I wouldn't need it in the city. When I told Dad, you'd think I'd offered him $1 million. He hugged me so tight I could barely breathe. Thank you, Mel, he said, his voice thick. You don't know what this means to us. I pulled away, looking him straight in the eye. Just take care of the place, okay? And the car. They're important to me. He nodded eagerly. Of course, of course. We'll treat them like they're our own. Little did I know how prophetic those words would turn out to be. The day I handed over the keys to my apartment and car was like a punch to the gut. I was standing there, keys in hand, when my stepmother Sarah sauntered up with this smug look on her face. Well, well, she said, eyeing the keys. Looks like these are finally going back to their rightful owner, and she had the nerve to point at my dad. I froze, feeling like I'd just stepped into the twilight zone. What? Dad must have seen the confusion on my face because he quickly pulled me aside, leaving Sarah to CO over the keys like they were some kind of prize. Mel, he said in a low voice, I need you to play along here. I told Sarah that the apartment and car are mine, that I've just been letting you use them. I stared at him, waiting for the punchline. It didn't come. Are you kidding me? I hissed. Dad, what the hell? He had the decency to look ashamed. I know, it's just. She's young, you know, I wanted to impress her. Please, Mel, just go with it. I wanted to scream. I wanted to march right back to Sarah and tell her the truth. But looking at my dad's pleading face, I just deflated. What was the point? Fine, I said, my voice flat. Whatever, I'm out of here anyway. And just like that, I was gone. New state, new job, new life. The clinic was everything I'd hoped for and more. The work was challenging, the pay was great, and for the first time in a long time, I felt like I was exactly where I needed to be. I kept in touch with Mom, of course. We'd Skype every week, and it was great to see her face, to watch her slowly but surely getting her spark back. She'd started taking art classes, making new friends. It was like she was becoming a whole new person, and I was so damn proud of her. Dad, though. That was a different story. Every time I called, it was just his voice on the other end of the line. No video, no nothing. Sorry, sweetheart, he'd say. You know me and technology. Can't figure out all these newfangled video things. But I knew better. Dad had always been pretty tech-savvy. Hell, he was the one who taught me how to use a computer back in the day. No, this was about something else. Maybe he didn't want me to see how he was living in my place. Maybe he was ashamed, or maybe Sarah didn't want me seeing inside the apartment. Who knows? One day, during one of our calls, I couldn't hold back anymore. Dad, come on. It's not that hard. I can walk you through setting up video chat. There was a long pause on the other end. Ah, no need for that, Mel. I like hearing your voice. That's enough for me. As I hung up, I couldn't help but think about how much things had changed. My dad, who used to be my hero, was now this voice on the phone, living in my apartment, driving my car, and lying to his new wife about it all. But you know what? I was doing okay. More than okay, actually. I was kicking ass at work, making a name for myself in the field, I had a nice little apartment in the city, was making new friends, even started dating a bit. 2 years flew by like a dream. Before I knew it, my contract was up, and I was heading back to my hometown. My old clinic welcomed me back with open arms, and I was excited to see my old patients and colleagues. But man, nothing could have prepared me for what happened when I got to my apartment. I stood there, key in hand, ready to walk into my own damn place. But the key wouldn't turn. I tried again, thinking maybe I was just tired from the trip. No dice. The lock had been changed. What the hell, I muttered, feeling a mix of confusion and anger bubbling up inside me. I started pounding on the door. Hello? Dad? Sarah? It's Melanie. Open up. After what felt like forever, the door swung open. There stood Sarah, my stepmother, looking like she'd just sucked on a lemon. Oh, she said, her voice dripping with disdain. It's you. I pushed past her, eager to see my place after 2 long years. But as soon as I stepped inside, I couldn't help but let out a shocked gasp. The place was unrecognizable. The walls, once a soothing neutral tone, were now painted in garish, bright colors that hurt my eyes. My carefully chosen furniture was gone, replaced by stuff that looked like it came straight out of a tacky showroom. And my bedroom. My beautiful, peaceful bedroom. Is that a nursery? I asked, my voice barely above a whisper. Sarah smirked, one hand resting on her very pregnant belly. Well, we needed to make some changes. This place was so boring before. I whirled around to face her. You had no right to do this. This is my apartment. She laughed, a cold, mocking sound that set my teeth on edge. Oh, honey, this is your father's apartment. He just let you live here out of the goodness of his heart. And now that I'm here, well, I'm the lady of the house. I can do what I want. I opened my mouth to argue, to tell her the truth, but then I caught sight of her swollen belly again. The fight drained out of me. I couldn't bring myself to stress out a pregnant woman, no matter how much of a witch she was being. Where's my dad? I asked instead, trying to keep my voice level. At work, Sarah replied, examining her nails. He'll be home later. I nodded, my mind racing. Fine, I'll wait for him. Sarah shrugged, clearly not caring one way or the other. Suit yourself. Just don't touch anything. I just had the place cleaned. As I waited for my dad to come home, I couldn't help but feel like I'd stepped into some kind of bizarre alternate reality. This was my apartment, bought with my hard-earned money. These were my walls, my floors, my rooms. And yet, here I was, feeling like an unwelcome guest in my own home. The moment Dad walked through the door, I pounced. We need to talk, I said, my voice leaving no room for argument. Now. He looked tired, older somehow, but he nodded and followed me to the kitchen. I couldn't bring myself to sit in that garishly decorated living room. Dad, what the hell? I started, trying to keep my voice down. The apartment. The renovations. This is my apartment, Dad. Mine, and now it looks like a circus threw up in here. I know, he said, holding up his hands. But please, try to understand. Sarah's pregnant. We can't be out on the street right now, can't we just live together for a while? I stared at him, dumbfounded. Live together? In my completely redecorated apartment that your wife thinks belongs to you. He had the decency to look ashamed. I know it's not ideal, but Sarah still believes this is my place, that you're living here on my goodwill. I can't tell her the truth now. Please, Mel, play along, just for a little while. I wanted to scream, to rage, to kick them both out right then and there. But then Dad did something that knocked the wind right out of my sails. He took my hand and kissed it, like he used to do when I was a little girl. Please, sweetheart, he pleaded, his eyes watery. I'm begging you. I felt my resolve crumbling. Damn it. But then another thought hit me. Wait a second. Where's my car? Dad's face fell even further, if that was possible. Ah well, about that. I gave it to Sarah. When we found out about the baby, she was so excited. She wanted a car of her own and I couldn't say no. I'll pay you back, I promise. Every penny. I was speechless. My apartment, my car. What next? Mel, Your job's not far, Dad continued, his voice pleading. You can walk, right? It's good exercise. I couldn't believe what I was hearing. But before I could swear, he was on his knees. Actually on his knees in front of me. Please, Melanie, he begged. I know I've messed up. I know I'm asking too much. But please just give us a little time. Let Sarah have this, just until the baby comes, please. I stood there, looking down at my father, the man who'd once been my hero, kneeling on the kitchen floor, begging me to let him and his pregnant wife stay in my home and drive my car. Fine, I said finally, the fight draining out of me. Fine. But this isn't permanent, Dad. We need to figure something out. As I watched him hurry off to tell Sarah the good news, I couldn't help but wonder what I'd just gotten myself into. But I told myself it would be okay. I'd be at work most of the time anyway. Maybe I could even learn to get along with Sarah. For the next few weeks, I threw myself into my work. I'd leave before dawn and come back long after dark. Anything to avoid being in that apartment that no longer felt like mine. Anything to avoid the tension, the awkwardness, the constant feeling of being a guest in my own home. 2 months into this nightmare living situation, something amazing happened. I met a guy named Jake. We bumped into each other at this little cafe near the hospital, and man, it was like something out of a cheesy rom-com. He spilled his coffee. I helped clean up. Our eyes met. You know the drill. Before I knew it, we were dating, and let me tell you, it was a godsend. Suddenly I had a reason to be out of the apartment even more. I'd spend my days at work and my nights with Jake. It was perfect. But of course, nothing good lasts forever, right? One day, I had to swing by the apartment to grab some clothes. Big mistake. I walked in to find Sarah, looking frazzled, with a squalling baby in her arms. Well, look who decided to grace us with her presence, she sneered. I ignored her, heading straight for my room. But she followed me, the baby still crying. Since you're here, she said, you can make yourself useful. The laundry needs doing, and the kitchen's a mess. Your father can't afford a housekeeper, and I'm busy with the baby. The least you could do is help out around here. The least I could do, I couldn't believe what I was hearing. This is my apartment. Oh, please, Sarah scoffed. We all know your daddy's been supporting you. Stop being such a freeloader and pull your weight. I saw red. I am not a freeloader, and I'm sure as hell not your maid. Clean your own damn house. Sarah's face twisted with anger. Fine. Be that way. But don't think you can keep living here for free. If you won't help out, you can get out. I couldn't help it. I laughed right in her face. Good luck with that, I said, grabbing my stuff and heading for the door. I spent the next few days at Jake's place, feeling on top of the world. I had a great job, a wonderful boyfriend, and I was out of that toxic apartment. Things were finally looking up. Then came the phone call that turned everything upside down. It's over, Jake said, his voice cold. I felt like I'd been punched in the gut. What? Jake, what are you talking about? Don't play dumb, Melanie. You know exactly what I'm talking about. Before I could respond, he hung up. I sat there, staring at my phone, trying to make sense of what had just happened. Then a message came through. It was a photo of me, kissing another man. Except, it wasn't me. I mean, it was my face, but I knew for a fact I'd never been in that situation. It was photoshopped, and poorly at that. And suddenly it all clicked. Sarah. It had to be her. I tried calling Jake back, desperate to explain, to make him understand. But it was too late. He'd blocked my number, my social media, everything. I stormed into the apartment, my blood boiling. Sarah was lounging on the couch, looking smug as hell. You, I shouted. What the hell did you do? She just laughed, a sound that made my skin crawl. Oh, that? Just a little Photoshop fun. Your boyfriend seemed to enjoy it. I couldn't believe what I was hearing. You sent that to Jake. Sent it? Honey, I did so much more than that, she said, examining her nails. I told him all about how you're playing the field, looking for a richer man. He seemed pretty upset. I felt like I was going to be sick. Why? Why would you do this? Sarah stood up, her face hardening. Because you need to learn your place. You live in our house, you play by our rules. So here's the deal, you start pulling your weight around here, or I'll make sure Daddy Dearest kicks you to the curb. That was it. The final straw. I started laughing, a harsh, bitter sound that seemed to surprise Sarah. My place? Your house, I spat. Newsflash, you delusional harpy. This is my apartment. I bought it with my money. And if you don't apologize and fix things with Jake right now, I'm kicking you both out on your asses. Sarah's face went pale, then red with anger. You're lying. Your father. Just then, Dad walked in. Sarah immediately turned on the waterworks. She's trying to kick us out, she wailed, pointing at me. Your own daughter. After everything we've done for her. Dad looked between us, his face a mask of confusion and distress. Then he turned to me and whispered, Mel, please. Just go along with it. Move out, for me. I stared at him, feeling like I'd been slapped. My own father, asking me to leave my own home? That was the moment something snapped inside me. All the pent-up frustration, anger, and hurt came pouring out. No, I said, my voice steady and cold. No, I will not go along with it. This is my apartment. I bought it. I pay for it. And I want you both out. Now. Sarah's eyes widened in shock. Dad looked like he'd seen a ghost. Melanie, he started, his voice pleading. Be reasonable. Reasonable, I laughed. I've been more than reasonable. I let you live here for free. I let you use my car. And this is how you repay me. By lying? By destroying my relationship. Sarah was screeching now, calling me every name in the book. Dad looked lost, like he couldn't believe this was happening. Get out, I said, my voice low and dangerous. Both of you. Take the baby and go. If you're not gone by tonight, I'm calling the cops. There was a moment of stunned silence. Then a flurry of activity. Sarah, still screaming, started gathering the baby's things. Dad just stood there, staring at me like he didn't recognize me anymore. As they walked out the door, bags in hand, Dad turned to me one last time. Melanie, he said, his voice breaking, please. But I'd had enough. I closed the door in his face, sliding down to the floor as I heard their footsteps retreating. There I was, alone in my apartment, surrounded by garish colors and furniture I hated. But you know what? It was mine. All mine. And for the first time in what felt like forever, I could breathe. I'd spent so long trying to please everyone else, my dad, Sarah, even Jake. But where had it gotten me? Nowhere good, that's for sure. It was time to put myself first. First thing I did, I called Mom. Honey, her voice was warm, concerned. Is everything okay? And just like that, everything came pouring out. The apartment, the car, Sarah's manipulation, Jake, all of it. By the end, I was in tears. Oh, Melanie, Mom said, her voice soft. You've been through so much. But you did the right thing, sweetheart. I'm proud of you. Her words were like a balm to my battered soul. Thanks, Mom, I sniffled. I don't know what to do now. There was a pause, then give me Jake's number. So I did. And boy, am I glad I listened to her. A few days later, Mom called me. Meet me at the cafe near your work in an hour, she said, sounding excited. I have a surprise for you. When I got there, I couldn't believe my eyes. There was Mom sitting at a table, with Jake. What's going on, I asked, my heart racing. Mom smiled, gesturing for me to sit. Jake, why don't you tell Melanie what we discussed? Jake looked at me, his eyes full of regret. Mel, I am so sorry. Your mom told me everything. About your stepmom, the lies. God, I feel like such an idiot for believing it. I sat there, stunned, as Jake poured out apology after apology. Part of me wanted to forgive him on the spot, to fall back into his arms and forget everything that had happened. But another part. Well, it wasn't that easy. Jake, I said finally, cutting off his stream of apologies. I appreciate this, I really do. But you believed I could cheat on you. You didn't even give me a chance to explain. That hurts. He nodded, looking miserable. I know, and I'll do whatever it takes to make it up to you. If if you'll let me." I looked at Mom, who gave me an encouraging smile. "Take your time, honey," she said. "There's no rush." And you know what? That's exactly what I did. Over the next couple of months, I focused on me. I redecorated my apartment, got my car back, and threw myself into my work. Jake and I, well, we were taking it slow, real slow, but he was trying, I'll give him that. Then came the day I heard about Dad and Sarah. Apparently, once Sarah realized Dad didn't actually own my apartment or have any real money, she split. Just up and left, leaving Dad with the baby. Talk about karma. Dad tried to go back to Mom, all apologies and regret. But Mom? She stood her ground. "I'm sorry, John," she told him. "Yeah, I was there for that conversation. But too much has happened. I can't go back." I was so proud of her in that moment. She'd grown so much, become so strong. As for me and Jake, we're still working on it. He's trying to prove himself, to show me he trusts me. And I'm learning to open up again, to let him in. I don't know what the future holds, but I do know this: whatever comes my way, I'm ready for it, because I'm done sacrificing myself for others. From now on, I'm putting myself first, and you know what? It feels pretty damn good.